Hey, what is going on guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best junglers for Preseason 5 patch 4.21. So there's been quite a few changes this patch. A lot of the junglers have been nerfed and there's been a lot of changes to the jungle items, so the list is a lot different from last patch. But nonetheless guys, let's get into the video and I hope you guys enjoy. So at the number 5 spot this patch, I have Shaco. So pros to Shaco are he's a really strong jungler in the new jungle because of his W. So he can do his first camp without taking any damage at all, which is really strong. And because of this, he is a strong pick because he won't be low on health after doing his first clear. So he can gank if he wants to, and Shaco really thrives in the early game. You want to be ganking early as Shaco because if you don't, then he's pretty weak when he falls behind. So the new jungle, it's not that bad for him because of his boxes, and he is one of the best early game gankers in the game in my opinion because of his Q and his W and his E. It just brings for a lot of CC, and his invisibility on his Q is really strong for ganking as well. And he's a great split pusher as well. If you build like Ravenous Hydra and Static Shiv on Shaco, then he will split push really well. And he also snowballs really hard come late game. If you have your core damage items with Shaco, you can one-shot an AD carry really simply. And he is also a pretty strong counter jungler as well because of his boxes and because of his Q. Some cons to Shaco are he is pretty squishy and he is super weak when behind, so you have to make sure that you are getting ganks off in the early game, because if you don't and you don't get kills in the early game as Shaco, then he's really squishy and he's just really weak if you fall behind with him. So next up on my list, I have Vi, and pros to Vi are she's got pretty good clear speeds. If you get her E a couple levels in that, then she starts to clear really fast. She's also a great duelist because of her W and because of all of her CC. She's also got very strong ganks, especially when she hits level 6. You want to make sure that you're ganking as soon as you hit level 6 with Vi because her ultimate is just so strong, and it's a point and click ability which makes it even easier to use. So it's Vi's really, her ultimate's foolproof and you can't really mess up while using it, so definitely look to gank bot lane when you hit 6 as Vi, because as long as your teammates follow up, then you're pretty much guaranteed a kill because of her lots of CC. And she's also very strong when ahead as well, and she can build tanky and still do a lot of damage too. Some cons to Vi are she is an all-in champion because of her ultimate, so she does require some communication with her team. Like, you don't just want to be engaging in the back line and then have your team not follow up, so you want to make sure that you're pinging and communicating with your team when playing with Vi, because or else you might end up just ulting the AD carry and then you might end up dying because your team does not follow up. Next up on my list, I have Jarvan. So pros to Jarvan are he's got strong CC with his EQ knockup combo and his ultimate as well. He's also got great early game presence because once he hits level 3, he's got really good ganks with the EQ knockup combo and then with the slow on his W as well. He's got really awesome wombo combos as well. Some champions that you can pair up with Jarvan to get some good wombo combos are Rumble, Ziggs, and Orianna. Those are 3 champions who work really well with Jarvan. He's also a great team fighter because of his ultimate, and he's got strong peel with his ultimate and with his EQ knockup combo. And he's also a bruiser as well, so he can build tanky and still do quite a bit of damage. Some cons to Jarvan are he does have slower clear speeds in the early game and he does need blue early. So number 2 on my list is going to be Fiddlesticks. Pros to Fiddle are he's got super strong sustain, some of the best sustain in the game for a jungler, if not the best, probably does have the best. He's also got really hard CC with his Q and his E, and his fear counters and movement speed engaged champions. For example, Udyr, Hecarim are 2 champions that he counters pretty hard because if they start charging at you, all you have to do is use your Q and then you'll completely negate their engage. He's also got great level 6 ganks with his ultimate, and he is a teamfight master. If you can get a good ultimate off in a teamfight, then it could completely change the game. He's also really strong with the new jungle item because it gives him ability power, and it also gives him CDR, which is really good for all of his abilities. So you'll be able to use your ultimate more, and you'll be able to use your fear more, and your E of course, as well as your W. And he's useful even when behind because of all of his CC. Some cons to Fiddle are he is pretty squishy, so I'd recommend rushing Zhonya's as fast as you can after your after your jungle item, because you are going to get blown up pretty fast in team fights, and if you get Zhonya's on Fiddle, then you're going to be able to do more damage and stay alive for a longer period of time. And he also doesn't have any mobility either. So number 1 on my list for I think 3 patches in a row now is Pantheon. So he's still a really strong pick in my opinion, even after the nerf that he got last patch. He can no longer solo Dragon at level 1, but this really isn't that big of a deal. I'm pretty sure he can still solo at level 3, and he's got really strong ganks when he hits level 6 with his ultimate. He's even got strong level 3 ganks with his stun on his W, so I just think he's all around a really strong pick for solo queue right now, and he can snowball the game really hard, especially if you gank bot lane at level 6 and you pick up a kill down there. I usually pick up like at least 1 kill when I gank at level 6 and I use my ultimate bot lane, so I definitely recommend playing Pantheon right now, guys, because he's really strong. His passive is also really great for negating damage in the jungle, and he snowballs super hard as well. He's also one of the best counter gankers in the game because of his ultimate, so if you see the enemy jungler ganking a lane, it's really easy to just use your ultimate and completely negate his gank, and you can even turn it around most of the time. He's also a pretty strong duelist as well because of his stun and because of his high amounts of damage that he brings. Cons to Pantheon are he's pretty weak if behind, so you have to make sure that you're ganking in the early game and getting those ganks off down bot lane when you hit level 6 with your ultimate. And he also is pretty mana hungry, so you want to make sure that you're taking blue as Pantheon. And if you're playing against Pantheon, you might want to try to invade his blue. For example, if you're playing someone like Blitzcrank, just go for that invade on Pantheon because it's going to set him behind a lot and he's going to not be able to clear as well in the early game. So honorable mentions for this patch include Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Nunu, Xin Zhao, Warwick, and Wukong. And the reason why I have so many champions on my honorable mentions for this patch is because I do think they are all pretty strong picks, so I didn't want to leave any of them out and off of my list. So Lee Sin is still a really strong early game jungler, and if you can land your Q and pick up a few kills in the early game, then he snowballs pretty hard, but come late game he does fall off, and if you can't get kills in the early game with him, then he is pretty weak. Rek'Sai, I'm not too sure what to think of her right now. I've played her a few times and she's definitely a strong pick, but I'm not too sure if she's top 5 quality right now. I'll have to play her a little bit more and see what I think, but she's got strong ganks because of her burrow, and she can set them up really well with the CC that she's got from her W, so I definitely think that she's a strong pick, but I'm not too sure if she's top 5 quality right now. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think of Rek'Sai so far. Nunu, the only reason why he's not on my list is because of his lack of damage. Yes, he's a really good counter jungler, and yes, he's got really good peel, but if your team falls behind, then it's really hard to carry as Nunu because he just doesn't have the damage. Xin Zhao is a really easy to play jungler, and he's pretty strong in the new jungle because he's got good sustain with his W, so if you're looking for an easier jungler to play, then I would recommend picking up Xin Zhao. And the reason why Warwick's not on my list is because I just think the damage nerfs to his ultimate, it hit him way too hard. It feels like his ultimate just tickles now, it really doesn't do any damage. However, he still does have really good sustain, and his ultimate still has the suppress on it, so I think he's still a viable pick, but he's not top 5 quality anymore. And Wukong is still, or Wukong's a pretty strong pick because of his ultimate. If you can find a good, or if you can get a good ultimate off in a team fight with Wukong and get it off on multiple targets, then he's a really rewarding champion, and he's also got pretty good sustain in the jungle because he can use his W to negate a lot of damage from the monsters. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're wondering why I didn't include a certain champion on my list, then be sure to comment below asking me why, and I'll get back to you on that shortly. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.